What up, YouTube? So, bear with me. I'm been under the weather. I think I came down with COVID or something, and but I used something incredible to help me. It was some silver, nano silver. That shit worked really good. So if you ever get sick with like some type of virus or bacterial infection, that nano silver liquid works really good. Um, so anyway, next let's uh, let's talk about Steven Crowder. So I was watching Piers Morgan, and he had on this guy Steven Crowder, this suspect, right? And he does an interesting spiel on stick, right? Both of them do, Piers Morgan and this guy Crowder, right? There's an interesting. I'm not racist spiel that the modern Caucasoid does, right? I'm trying to be nice, man. I don't know, you get tired of watching this bullshit all day with these characters. That's why I say I don't debate people. I don't fool around with no debate. Like, I wouldn't sit around with Steven Crowder and have a debate. Because you can see right through him. But, excuse me, sorry about that, guys. I might cough a little bit. But Crowder goes on to make an interesting he makes a very interesting statement during this interview, where he says something to the akin of he's trying to prevent another Jewish Holocaust against black people. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, where the fuck did that come from, right? Like, what do you mean? So I'm gonna play the little clip from that and come right back.
So let's not ask how we got here. Okay, parameters. Let me just say that is completely wrong, right? And then we move on to: is it right that she's now had hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations to support her? I say again, that is completely ridiculous and outrageous, and it's been whipped up by a fake moral equivalence. Well, you know what? People are racist about white people, so of course we should support her. No, just take a line in the sand and say, if you use the N-word against black people, you are being racist. If you're white, you know you're being racist, you shouldn't do it, and you should face consequences when you do it. And your first reaction, if you're...
Let me stop that right there. First of all, if you feel like you want to walk with the black people and call them niggers, do it. I mean, freedom of speech, right? You have the freedom of, I think people should have the freedom of speech. If you Mexican, Indian, white, whatever, you want to walk with the black people in the United States in Walmart, or if you think they're out of pocket, or there's an issue, or just in general, on the playground, you want to call them, a bunch of niggas, shoot your shot. Right? Just, bring it on out. Do what you got to do. I'm just saying, if shit go left, though, don't, right? Because you've been warned, right? And you understand, right? So if shit go left after a while, don't say you didn't know. You don't know what's going on, right? You understand slavery. You understand Jim Crow in the United States, right?
There's no equivalence. There's no ambiguity. There's no, you know what? Maybe this story, no. Let's just have a clear line in the sand and say, that is wrong. That is racism. End. Surely?
No. Now, do you want to know which part I disagree with?
Yes.
Certainly not the part that I already agreed with. Shouldn't yell the N-word at a black person 5 years old or 50 years old. But the reason for the GoFundMe amount, you can simply dismiss it and say those people are racist. Or I am telling you that you are seeing a statistical reality emerge where, by and large, the rejection of countries, like where you and I are from, the policing of speech, and the out-of-context use of boogeyman words to try and destroy people's livelihood, where white people are going, yeah, the conversation, though, isn't that you shouldn't do that. We all know that. The conversation is, I can lose my job if I sing along to my favorite hip-hop album, whether Enter the Wu-Tang or Kanye's College Dropout. That's the conversation, and you have people who are tired of it being used as a cudgel.
You know what you're sounding like, Stephen? You know what you're...
Let me stop him right there as far as the whole rap music came from the black community for the black community. Let's just be clear. Rap music came from the black community for the black community because people didn't want to all of the black music was done for black people, by black people, for black people. Because of slavery and Jim Crow, shit like that. They didn't want the music we were playing, and we couldn't go to their clubs, right? You couldn't go to white people's clubs. You couldn't go to their parties, or you couldn't go to their concerts where they were performing or anything was going on. It was no, because of segregation and slavery and all that kind of stuff, right? So black people came up with their own, music, R&B, hip hop, blues, country music, pop music, rock and roll, right? Et cetera, et cetera. We came up with our own music. Then so when a black person said nigger on a record, it didn't, and you in the ghetto, it didn't matter because the people was on, whatever. They said anything on the record. The records wasn't allowed to be played by white people. So at a certain point, things changed, right? Where white people started not only listening to black music, they started playing black music and popularized black music. Fast forward, rock and roll, Elvis Presley, et cetera, et cetera. Fast forward to rap music, right? So now you have a black music where white people are listening and popularizing rap music. Same thing though. It was something done for black people, by black people, for black people. It wasn't done for white people. So when you heard basically somebody say nigger on a record, right? We understand the context in which it was said. You see? And it was an in-house thing. Because it was our music created by us, for us. It wasn't for other people. It wasn't for the consumption of white people. Now it's commercialized, right? And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Controlled really by white people. That's the whole thing with Kanye West, what he's, beefing about with these people. Right? That's the whole thing, right? So he's beefing with these people, right? About how they now, because they in control of the spigot, streaming services, record companies, different shit, they promote black people, the negativity toward each other, and derogatory stuff, crime, different things. They let shit ride. But when it comes to them, everything is censored. You better not even suggest. They better not, if they even think something like Kyrie Irving, right? What happened to him? If we even think you doing something we don't like, we're going to crack down on you. We're going to Gaza strip your ass. Kyrie Irving. If we even think you saying something we don't like. Because he only tweeted like 2 words. They came down on his ass like a whole city falling out of the sky. For tweeting 2 words about something they don't like. In reference to a movie that they don't like. Yeah. That's it. He ain't say, a derogatory word about referring to these ish people. White-ish, right, people. He just tweeted 2 words in reference to a movie or something like that. And they came down on his ass like a city falling out of the sky. But you can do whatever you want to black people, generally. You can say whatever you want to them, whatever, and get away, whatever, right? And on records and music, they promote that. These Jewish companies, let's just put it out there, right? They promote all kinds of derogatory, negative shit against black people for profit. So, and I think Leah Cohen said in the interview, when they asked him, he said, I gotta eat, I got kids, I got mouths to feed. Give a shit about no black people. Right? I'm a white Jewish man. I got mouths to feed. And I can get away with this, I'm gonna do it. These are your friends and your allies, the same people committing apartheid in the state of Palestine and Israel and killing hundreds of thousands of people. That's a whole nother video now. Right? But back to that, I'm trying to stay on track. And so the whole thing with I was just explaining how we got here where you got people, outside the community using stuff that was taking place inside the community. You follow me? To get back on track. We had something that came from inside of the community with people saying nigga on a record or saying different thing on records, right? That was acceptable because the music was inside the community. It wasn't until it was commercialized that it became really a problem. Now that it's commercialized. So you listen to a Kanye West record, as he said, or Wu-Tang record, where they saying the N-word, right? And now, white people, they want to listen to it. They want to be hip and listen to it, or Mexicans or Indians. And then they say, well, I heard them say it on the record, so it must be cool. And they can't connect the fact that they don't understand what I just explained to you. But you in America, right? You in America, you understand a little bit about slavery, apartheid, Jim Crow in America, 1965. Ain't that long ago, 60 years, right? Which my whole family grew up underneath of it. My whole family, except me and my children. Everybody else in my family that's alive today lived under Jim Crow. And you telling me you don't understand what I'm saying? That was something that came from inside, that came from inside the Black community. And because of the commercialization of music, it spilled outside of the community. That didn't mean that Mexicans and white people and Indians from India or people from, I don't know, wherever, in Africa or nowhere else can come up and start talking about, yo, what's up, my nigga? Yo, nigga, this, nigga, that, whatever. That didn't mean that. You don't understand that? That didn't give you a black card, or, you know what I'm saying? Because they commercialized rap music or any kind of black music where certain things were said that among Black people wouldn't have been considered an issue, are now considered an issue. You see? It's sort of like if I joke with my cousin or something about, I'd be like, you fried chicken and watermelon eating, Negro or something. He's gonna laugh or whatever, because it's within the community. But if some white person come up and say that, we know what they're getting at. It's different. It's outside the community. He's trying to stereotype me and be a racist toward me, right? Using this little trope or something, right? Oh, you Negroes like fried chicken and watermelon, don't you? And all that bullshit, right? Everybody does. This shit is delicious, right? But, so people get it, but then we gotta go through this thing where they act like they don't get it, right? I don't want to beat a dead horse. I want to get back to Steven Crowder, because he's ready to say some real interesting shit. Stand by.
You labeling everyone who gave to the Give, Send, Go. By the way, I've also never been labeled woke, right? That's very, very silly. $782,000, I believe, give or take. Maybe it's $882,000. But hold on a second. You say that every single person who was giving to that is the equivalent of the person yelling the N-word at a 5-year-old.
No, I didn't say that.
We say the same thing.
No, I didn't say that.
Hold on.
No, I didn't say that.
That's the interruption.
I said they're wrong to do it.
I'll be done in 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Would we also say then that the people giving to Anthony, Carmelo Anthony, support the wanton stabbing of white kids who die in their twin brother's arms? What I'm saying is there is a reaction to people being told to sit down and shut up and silence is violence, and words being used to end their livelihoods. And that is the conversation that is taking place in this country, and most people are refusing to have it. Of course, you shouldn't yell the N-word at a 5-year-old. You got it. But there's no segment if that's where we end it. Let's discuss why you have tens of thousands of people giving money for something they never would have donated to a mere 10, 15 years ago.
Bullshit.
Don't we think it would have been better before we got to the point of the Holocaust for someone to say, hey, wait a second. How did we end up here believing that only Jews carry these communicable diseases? How did we end up here, all of us accepting these negative stereotypes? Hey, wait, how did we end up here othering these groups of people? I think the how you've gotten there matters, and I think the prescription for it is important, and that's what I'm trying to focus on. The prescription is more dialogue and doing so in good faith rather than this word whack-a-mole that we're playing in this country.
Dry skin and deeper weariness are just a few of the visible signs of aging. Also, I'm told. Fortunately,
Yeah, so I don't know what the hell.
Skin
Let me freeze that.
are designed to help your skin feel and behave as if it's younger.
Oh, shut him up. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell he was talking about, right? Like, why he brought up the Holocaust, right? He brings up the Holocaust. Like, what do you mean you're trying to prevent the Holocaust against black people? I mean, let's play that again. So he says, 15 years ago, white people weren't racist in America. They wouldn't have donated, you know, if they happen to be a sign of racism against blacks, is them donating to this woman who was calling a 5-year-old, you know, this mentally challenged child, you know, the N-word. You know, he's saying, well, you know, more people are donating because something has happened with white people over the past 15 years that has made them more racist than slavery? What the fuck are you talking about? Than slavery or Jim Crow? What are you talking about, sir? That's why I don't debate people. Boom. You're ridiculous. That is a ridiculous statement. You're a fucking maniac. Bingo bongo. There you go right there. What you mean? Something happened is made them more racist. Now they talking about they got black fatigue. Excuse me. They got black fatigue. Black fatigue? What the fuck? Black people should have fatigue from living around a bunch of slavers, genocidal maniac racists for hundreds of years, not the other way around. These people are maniacs. They drinking their own, you know, urine or something. Like, I don't know how to, what is wrong with them? They drinking their own Kool-Aid. Black fatigue. You don't see what they doing? Like, and you had to point this out, right? Then he goes on to make the statement about the Holocaust, which I thought was interesting. Let me play that again. Stand by.
Hey, but there's no segment if that's where we end it. Let's discuss why you have tens of thousands of people giving money for something they never would have donated to a mere 10, 15 years ago.
Really?
Don't we think it would have been better before we got to the point of the Holocaust for someone to say, hey, wait a second, how did we end up here
before we got to the Holocaust, to try to stop, so you're trying to stop the Holocaust. What does black people and this whole thing with donating money have to do with the Holocaust? You follow me? Like, I don't understand the symbology, like the symbolic connection to a black, you know, to the Holocaust. Like, you some humanitarian trying to stop the Holocaust by debating white people calling black people niggers and having freedom of speech. And if you try to stop them, it's going to cause a Holocaust against black people. I mean, is that what you trying to say? I mean, because we already had a Holocaust against black people. To build America, you killed 100 million black people. Y'all, you do know that. I mean, he said he a linguist, he's super smart. I'm super smart. I mean, listen, look, I'm super smart. I have a show on YouTube. You do know y'all already committed a genocide against the blacks in America. You do know that, right? And you killed 100 million of black people, my ancestors, to build America. You do know that, right? So what are you talking about? So when they say race war and, all this kind of stuff, you already committed a race war. And they say, well, black people sold over black, all this lying bullshit. When you look into that, you have to understand that. I'm not going to get into that, but it's bullshit. All right, there's a little more to that story about the black accomplices that, let's just say this, the black accomplices that helped white people then are the same ones that's helping them now. Simple as that. The Black Caucus in the United States, Barack Obama, the same thing that's going on back then is going on now. The black leaders in Africa that's controlled by, Europe and the United States, keeping their people down, stealing their resources and selling it to white people in Canada. So what are we talking about? You said black people sold other black people. They selling them now. Just using dollars, they selling them now. Barack Obama sold you niggas for $20-some million. How much he worth now? He might be worth more than that. He might be worth like $30 million. When he came into office, he was worth like $500,000 that his white grandmother gave him through her policy when she died or something. Now he worth tens of millions of dollars. He's selling your ass now. What are you talking about? What are we talking about here? Stop this. Stop playing games. Black people are just not smart, man. You make yourself look bad. I mean, and then this character comes up on TV and makes these veiled threats. Right? You not catching this shit? Because he's saying like he's civil. There's nothing civil about these people. They just killed at least 200,000 Arabs in Palestine. That looks civil to you? Co-signed by everybody in the United States, from the president on down, and everybody in Europe, everywhere. They seem civil to you? In 2025, that sounds civil? To starve and murder hundreds of thousands of people in front of your face, and then act civil on Piers Morgan? Oh, calling people nigger. You just killed 200,000 people. I think you niggerized those Arabs over there. You're doing a lot more than calling bad names. Let's be clear. They're doing a lot more than just calling people niggers or sand niggers in the sense of the Palestinians or the Arabs, whatever, right? But this is interesting. Let me play this.
To end their livelihoods, and that is the conversation that is taking place in this country, and most people are refusing to have it. Of course, you shouldn't yell the N-word at a 5-year-old.
No,
there's no segment if that's where we end it. Let's just why you have tens of thousands of people.
Dude, you sound phony.
They never would have donated to a mere 10, 15 years ago. Don't we think it would have been better before we got to the point of the Holocaust for someone to say, hey, wait a second. How did we end up here believing that only Jews carry these communicable diseases? How did we end up here?
It's not stop the Holocaust.
How did we end up here othering these groups of people? I think the how you've gotten there matters, and I think the prescription for it is important, and that's what I'm trying to focus on. The prescription is more dialogue.
He's trying to have dialogue.
So in good faith.
In good faith.
Than this word whack-a-mole that we're playing in this country.
So he want to have
dry skin.
He want to have a good faith. This white man, Steven Crowder, wants to have a good faith dialogue with who? Black people? Motherfucker, you had 400 years to have good faith dialogue with black people. How much more dialogue do a white person need? Let's ask that question, right? How much more dialogue do a white person need? He said we need to have more dialogue with white people because we're gonna stop. You don't want to lead to a genocide like the Holocaust. What? The fuck are you talking about? Who you gonna genocide, sir? Who gonna be genocided like the Jew, like the white Jew, the white on white crime, as Whoopi Goldberg said, she was right, that took place in Germany? Who you talking about? Steven Crowder, Piers Morgan. You gonna genocide black people? We already been genocided and race warred upon. So you're making implications of a race war and the genocide against blacks in the United States? First of all, let me say that that's not gonna happen. You may attempt to do that, and I say bring it on. You know what I'm saying? You may attempt to do it. It'll be the worst mistake they ever made, right? Just like what they did in Palestine was probably one of the worst mistakes they ever made, because what they did was they started waking people up of how brutal and how inhumane they are in a modern era where we have the internet. That was a bad look. People watching babies get blown apart every day, while anybody that complained that this should stop is called a racist by some white people stealing people's land in Palestine. You can't make this shit up. It's beyond belief. That's beyond ridiculous. That's why I say I don't debate people. I've done my research enough. Once you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I don't do research and I don't read books and I don't study, I don't watch documentaries and process information. I'm like Ultron. I process as much information as I can. But at a certain point, like Bob Marley said, and the rap I was listening to, Natural Mystic, right? You gotta close the books. There's no more. We don't need no more dialogue. We don't need no more studying. We don't need no more. I don't need no dialogue with white people. What we gonna talk? What we gonna debate about? What am I gonna debate a white person about? We gonna debate about slavery. We're gonna debate about Jim Crow. We're gonna debate about what happened from like 1970 till now. What we gonna debate about? I already know all of this. We lived it. I don't need, and I've read, and these are people who, shit that you lived, they'll try to explain to you, you didn't see what you saw. And they won't have a debate with you. I don't need a debate with nobody. I'm not a black immigrant. I'm not an immigrant. I didn't come from Eritrea or Ethiopia or South Africa or Brazil or Canada or Caribbean, like Candace Owens. I don't need to have a debate with you. I don't need to have no more dialogue with you. I need some money. We talking about breaking bread. Like you give Israel $15 billion a year. You can break black people off some of them reparations that you giving to illegal immigrants. Some of them hundreds of thousands, billions you giving to them illegals. You can break me off some of that. You want to have a dialogue about that? Sure. Other than that, I don't want to hear it. I got shit to do. You want to talk me to death about what? They don't mind if I call you a nigger, do you, in Walmart? You want to talk about that? Go ahead, right? Go ahead. Because I slap you in the mouth like your father. Go ahead. Get the shit slapped, don't you? Don't matter what language you speak, and none of that. I don't know you, and no, as I explained earlier, you're not from within my community. So ain't no passes. I don't know you. We ain't gonna play that game. You go ahead, walk around calling people niggas. Eventually, people won't stop pulling out cameras. You get the shit slapped out you. You know what I mean? Or worse. Right? So go ahead, do whatever you want. You got freedom of speech to call people niggas. You've been doing it for the past 400 years. Keep it up, right? And then he says, he makes a veil, and then that's what it is. He's making a veiled threat to black people. This is how much they hate you. And then the hate comes out, right? It slips out. He tries to act like this very intellectual, I'm very intellectual. He said he's a linguist, white man, Steven Crowder. You're nothing but a damn suspect. I'm trying to be nice, it's you two. You're just a goddamn suspect. Right? Then you try to slide in. You're a linguist, but you don't understand what you're saying. Is that what you're telling me? He made a statement. When you make cracks like that, You're trying to stave off the Holocaust like that happened to the Jews, the white Jew, by his white brethren in Germany, that civil war. You trying to stave that off in the United States against black people. You don't make sense. Maybe you don't know your own history, but I do. I know what you already did. You already committed a genocide. So you mean another one? You want to commit another Holocaust against blacks in the United States? You already did. And the Bible says you won't be committing another one. I would agree with that. You might think that sounds crazy, but it's not. I would agree with that. Read the book of Joel. You will not be committing another Holocaust against blacks in the United States. There will be, you may execute all of these things in the near future, next couple of years. You may try to push this and execute it in different ways, right? It will not succeed, right? It's going to end in your demise if you know what I mean? I mean, that's what's written in the book of Joel, right? And not because black people can stop it, because they can't. And I already know that. I've done the math. Black people can't stop it no more than they could have stopped the first one. They already lost the race war, as Steven Crowder insinuates. I'm trying to stop a Holocaust, like the Jews, and they try to blah, blah. What are you talking about, man? Why'd you bring up the Jews in the Holocaust? When you're talking about black people, you know, complaining about you calling somebody nigger and they're giving money to this lady. I mean, the whole premise of what you're saying is nothing but some Nazi, racist doublespeak that you hoping nobody catches on to except Piers Morgan, your white brother, and your other white brethren. Because if you were a little rougher with it, Negroes would catch on. I caught on because, well, I'm me. And I know what you're saying. Right? I can read between the lines. So I know what you're getting at. A lot of Negroes, they went right over their head. And see, that's the way they talk. They dealing with you now. Because if they want to do something, they want you to, not to necessarily notice. You see, a more refined form of racism. And they only refined in it because it's like war by deception. Instead of running up and calling you, come here, nigger, and hit you over your head, right? It's like, no, I'm calling these people a nigger. Hey, look over there. Then they hit you in your head. Like, he didn't call you a nigger, but he still bashed you in your fucking head when you looked over there. So what was the difference? He was gonna do the same thing. He just figured, see, the more refined suspect, they smart enough to know, like, okay, like Crowder, right? And Morgan, the more refined suspect, right? They smart enough to know, like, listen, if I'm gonna attack you, right, it behooves me to be nice to you, so you never see it coming, right? If I'm gonna attack you, it behooves me to be nice to you. Do I hate you? Yes. Do I despise you? Yes. Am I a hardcore anti-black racist? No question. Do I want to genocide you? Absolutely. Should, you know what I mean? Finish you off? And just like they did in Argentina to the black population? Absolutely. Is it viable to just come? There's too many of y'all for me to just, probably come straight at you. So we got to take a different approach. That's all. We got to take a different approach, right? The infiltration, right? The dispersion, the propaganda, the psyops, right? HIV, biological race weapons, right? We got to come at this a different way. The music, you see? Excuse me. Right? And then, boom, I hit you over the head. You see? I got to set it up. Like Steven Crowder said. Over the past 10 or 15 years, right? Do you think this would have happened? Yeah, motherfucker, I do think it would have happened. What do you think people got? Oh, all right, let's go back 15 years, right? we can just block it to 20. If you go back 20 years, you're only 40 years removed from Jim Crow ending in the United States, right? So what are we talking about? We don't live in an alternate, if you go back 40 years, we don't go into an alternate universe where none of this ever existed. We get closer to a ground zero, where that's all it was. That was the daily life. But stick with it, right? Where it was signs on the wall saying no niggers, right? So what are you talking about? It was better 20 years ago. That don't make sense. It seemed like it would have been, it was worse, right? That was better 20 years ago. Over the past 20 years, it's gotten worse. I thought we was moving away from the point of impact. If you go back 20 years, we're closer to being in Jim Crow and slavery. If you go back 100 years, so what do you mean 20 years ago it was better? That doesn't make sense. Next you're gonna say 60 years ago it was better when these niggers was in Jim Crow and apartheid in America. Right? By that logic, if we keep going back 20 years, well, let's just go another 20. Tack another 20, then we back into Jim Crow. So how was it better in the past, sir? I'm just saying you're a genius. He says he's a linguist and he's a smart, like genius type of guy. But what he's saying only makes sense to dumb people on the internet and people that just want to hear that suspect Nazi racist propaganda. That's all it is like Nazi propaganda, coded Nazi propaganda. I mean, I'm explaining it. So it's not like, and now I let you listen to him. So it's not like I'm lying on him, right? I'm lying on the Bible. Like they do, right? It's not like I'm lying on him. So he basically, I'm gonna end this though, but I just thought it was fascinating to watch this white man sit here, right?
Deeper wrinkles.
And make a kind of a veiled threat toward black people that if, this whole black, and then seeing this whole black fatigue movement on social media, which is ridiculous, right? Where they're trying to say like, David fatigue, like you attack people and then say these people offended you. Like, this is the mentality of these people, right? Well, I'm offended that you're not loving this. Right? It's like, right? So, yeah, but just the fact this whole black fatigue thing, and then they going into this whole, he makes this statement, right? About he's trying to stop. So I guess his equivalent is, if you don't attack white people for calling people niggers, let's just say it, or they're gonna genocide black people, like it's gonna be a Holocaust against black people. Let me just say it. I guess that's what he's saying. That kind of seems like what he's saying, right? If you keep pressing white people about any sense of justice and equality or whatever it is, right? Or whatever. You keep pressing them, you press them off a person about not calling you racial epithets in the street and using racial epithets against you, your children, you at your job, on the internet, whatever. If you don't check that, like the Jews do about stuff that ain't even a racial epithet, Kyrie Irving. If you, like for instance, I could see him saying that if black people are acting like these white Jewish people. But they're not. They're extremists, of course, obviously. You look at what they did to Kyrie Irving. And he bent over for it. But Kanye West didn't. He didn't bend over for it. And that's what that's all about. Right? Kanye West didn't bend over for it. Now he's just trolling the fuck out of him. You see? So, but I think we're moving into an interesting time. I'm gonna wrap this up, but when you got people saying, when I saw that, I was like, huh? Like, where does this dude get off making a statement like that? That was pretty bold. I thought it was a pretty bold statement, right? To come on TV and make a comparison to black people complaining about being called nigger and pressing people about that, right? Like using racial epithets against them, right? To, if you push back against that, it might be, you know, a Holocaust like the Jewish people in Germany. Really? That's an interesting comparison. Right. Because 15 years ago, it wasn't this bad, but now it's getting worse. That's, okay, really? Okay. So that lets you know what's on his mind. Because none of that makes sense and it's not true at a certain level, right? Like it's some ridiculous shit. Like this dude is crazy, in other words, right? He been using his own product, and that's white people in America. That's them. They've been sniffing their own drugs too long, right? They've been drinking their own Kool-Aid for way too long. So they think they can say shit like this on TV and nobody will notice. But I did. I noticed, right? They think nobody will notice, right? But I noticed it. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, man. I'll see y'all in the next one. That's all I got for now.